All right, story time, kiddies. Once upon a time, there was a certain young man who hailed from the land of Detroit. And it was his 12th grade year, and he was getting ready to take the world by storm. He was going to rise to the heights and make it happen. I'm talking go straight to heaven and become the man that he believed that he is destined to be by being in a place in college that no one can tell him when to go to sleep and everything in between. But then reality hits, and he's brought from heaven back into the reality of hell. And in this case, his mother received news that they were going to lose the home. And he would, in fact, be homeless. So, walking around down in the dumps, turbo depressed, I'm talking black cloud with hell and brimstones hanging around about 24/7, he wound up having a conversation with his best friend's sister. And she, in turn, wound up talking to her mom about the situation that he was going through. And the mom, in her own plight, being a single mother trying to take care of her children and working in a literal place of hell on earth, what they call it? I believe it's called Chrysler. And in that place, because she described it as a dungeon because there were no windows and you stand on concrete for 12 hours a day. God only knows what kept her up at night as she plotted to go do it again to take care of her family. But she decided, in spite of that, and maybe all the other things that are unknown, she decided to take this boy in. She became a mother to him, and he became a son to her. She was able to take care of him for his last year of high school to get him to the place to go to college. I was that boy. And that woman's name is Charmaine Williams. And I honor her with this because she died recently, a couple weeks ago, due to the COVID-19 pandemic virus. And she is proof that one person can make a difference. That you can change somebody's life. Change the world even. Because she changed my world. I have definitely dealt with low self-esteem for a very, very, very long time. And I've done some research on it, so it started bringing me to what we're talking about today, that believing in ourselves is a problem that most people have. Believing in ourselves is the key to making the world better. And believing in ourselves is the path to true self-fulfillment. So let's talk about the issue. Believing in ourselves. What does that mean? You hear the term self-confidence, self-esteem, but they're used kind of loosely. So to me, it almost implied there was really no difference. But according to an article written by psychiatrist Dr. Neil Burton, there is a difference. He wrote, and I'll give the abridged version, that there is a difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. Self-confidence deals with basically the ability to do something well. So if you take me, I would love to get my Bruno Mars on and sing you a love song, but I would not even dare even burn your ears like that. But I can tap that booty in some Call of Duty. I'm talking PlayStation 4, screw Xbox. Never mind. So that would be an example of that. So since we know that, we go to self-esteem. Self-esteem is the appraised value in how you see and feel about yourself. It is your mind and your emotions, or I like the way that he described it. He said it's the matrix in which we think, feel, and act, and reflects and determines our relations to ourselves, others, and the world around us. So now we can see that this is a really big deal as far as the internal and the external. I like to liken it onto like the planet Earth. We're all little planets walking around after all, I think. But Earth, we live on the crust. That's the outer or external, which can be like that, self-confidence, just to give you that visual. And Earth has a core. Like Dr. Evil says, magma. In the core is in our planet, and that's what keeps this thing alive. So that would be the internal, which I liken to the self-esteem. So they relate to each other. But if the core is off, it's only a matter of time before the external or the crust is off. I'm going somewhere with this. You'll see, so just hang with me. So now we see and know the breakdown of what this really means in terms of self-confidence, self-esteem, believing in ourselves, all of that kind of stuff. Then you got to ask the question, then if so many people are having a problem in this area, where's this really coming from then? Like, why are so many having this issue? Well, according to the University of Texas Counseling and Mental Health Center, they wrote that the framework of our self-esteem is primarily formed by our childhood experiences. And I'm sure that's not really hard to believe. They said that low self-esteem is found to be contributed by harsh criticism, being ignored when you're a kid, ridicule, teased, physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, which is quite unfortunate, and even sometimes expectations of being perfect. And we know nobody's perfect. Matter of fact, we learn or have the opportunity to learn by the mistakes that we make. There was even another article or a journal that was published by the Academic Pediatrics and the U.S. National Library of Medicine, and they found that there was a major link between obesity and low participation in sports teams, not doing well in school, is largely was impacted from the study that they did for, I think it was about 6,000 kids or adolescents between 12 and 16, that low self-esteem contributed to these factors. So now we can see the root and how important this really is. Now we can start trying to see how to believe in ourselves for that key of making the world a better place. So I read an article by Susan Steinberger, or Brecker, let me restate that, and she's a leadership coach, and she trains like executives, CEOs, things of that nature. And I read a story she thought was interesting. And in this one particular instance, there was a gentleman, or she didn't say it was an individual, we restate that she was training, and this person had all the tools, all the know-how, they had the seminars, everything, the books that you could think of to be able to get to the next level of success. But this person was having trouble getting to the next level. So upon deeper investigation, she found out that this particular individual, somewhere in their self-belief, their internal, they didn't believe they deserved the next level of success. So therefore, it was hindering their external decisions to be able to put the things they do in practice to get to that next level. In the same article, she talked about how our thoughts are the window to what's really going on inside. And until we start trying to analyze our thoughts to see what's really happening, to find out those cores, we're not going to be able to really move forward in life, because who we are determines our outlook on life. It's all about perspective and that reflection of that. So we have to be willing to have the strength to dig deep, to go in to figure out what's really happening inside ourselves, is what she was talking about. Because once we're able to figure that out and we have the will to act, then we can start making better decisions from a whole place rather than a broken place. Or it reminds me of a Bible verse that I like, where it says, when you remove the blinders from your own eyes, first do that, and then you can see clearly to help remove the blinders from your neighbor's eyes. Because it's all about the will to act at this point, to be able to do that so we can make those changes that gets us to the next point. Believing in ourselves will help us have true self-fulfillment. So according to an article from the Association of Psychological Science, they did a study where they had a group of people who had to find like the middle letter in a group of various letters. And they found that there is a direct link to those who believe in themselves and how your mind actually reacts, because they all had apparatuses on their mind to see those trigger points as they made decisions, and it was based off how they felt. So the people who did well, even though they made mistakes, were the people who had confidence to believe that they can learn from their mistakes. As to their counterparts, the people who did not do well and figure out their errors, upon further investigation, those people felt that they were not smart enough. So they just pretty much just gave up. So it's shown that even from a scientific standpoint, there's a direct link in having to take the plunge and figuring out who you are and what's going on to be able to correct some of whatever issues in yourself, because we all had negative experience. We all had something that derailed us. But that those decisions, or rather those things that happen to us, doesn't have to define us. Our mistakes doesn't have to define us unless we allow it. And that was the point of all those different things. And I want to go back to now, my peers. When I got my audience analysis back, 100% of you helped somebody during the pandemic. 100% of you believed that helping somebody is the right thing to do. 100% of you believe that what you put out does come back to you. The only thing I saw was difference is that some of you felt that y'all didn't feel up to par in certain areas, that y'all didn't have true self-confidence, in that case, based off of that, really self-esteem in yourself in some of the areas of maybe who you are. I don't know what you've been through or what happened to you, but I hope that this helped reinforce that it's in your hands to be able to do something about that, to be able to take your life back and dig deep. So if I had to surmise all of what we're talking about, the main thing is that when we're no longer limited by those negative experiences in our life and we actually choose to deal with them, only then can we be a better person and be able to help serve everybody that's without. Today you've heard about bettering ourselves, let me restate, believing in ourselves is a problem that most people have. Believing in ourselves is the key to making the world better. Believing in ourselves is the path to true self-fulfillment. Think about how good you will feel, how free you will be. Think about how each day would just seem to be a better day when you take the steps and the plunge into really dealing with yourself. So I call you to action from this. And the call to action is to do 3 things. 1, know thyself. Dig deep to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And once you figure those things out, go to step 2. Love thyself. Love means that in spite of, you still see yourself as worthy and good of all the things that's good in life, that you still are worthy of patience and kindness and peace to yourself. Which brings you to the 3rd step, better thyself. That now you're going to, after you found out everything that needs to be changed, you're going to take the plunge to make it happen and make those changes. The good, the bad, and ugly will only get better because you're going to make the choices to be accountable and be responsible for your actions. And you're going to let the people in your life that you know love you and care for you help keep you accountable and responsible for making those changes, all while you're still being patient and kind and peaceful while you go through the transition and process. So I leave you with this last thought. It's like when Neo first went into the Matrix and Morpheus was training him to fight, and he was trying to help get all those limiting beliefs and all those caged mindsets out of him. He grabbed his hands and he told him, come on and hit me, when they were fighting. And he said, don't think you're fast enough, know you're fast enough. So I say to you, don't think you're good enough, know you're good enough. Be the difference, be the light. Thank you for listening, and as always, just something to think about.